Today's video is sponsored by SpecOps Password Policy, the ultimate solution in securing your Active Directory passwords and continuously blocking over 4 billion breached passwords. Visit them today at specopssoft.com. In this episode, I'm checking out the all-new Microsoft Entra Suite, the complete identity solution from Microsoft. We're going to talk exactly about what's in it, how much does it cost, how does it work, and most importantly, is it worth it? Loads of demos coming up, so stay tuned. Hey everyone, how are you? So nice to see you and a very warm welcome, especially, hey, if this is your first time with us. On today's episode, Microsoft Entra, the Suite version that is, has now been released. And well, with quite a few of the products still in public preview, you have to ask, is it worth its money? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about exactly what's included, how much does it cost, are there upgrade options if you've already got certain versions, for example, and most important question, is it actually worth it at the end of the day? And I've got demos of each of the products as we're going to go through, so you'll know exactly how it works. Now, if you haven't subscribed, yeah, I always say this, please go ahead, bomb that subscribe button, come and join my learning community. And if you have questions and comments about this, or in fact, any of my other sessions, as always, just get those down below and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you enjoy the session, give me a big thumbs up. It really does make a difference. Okay, so I think without any further ado, let's take a look at Entra ID, or Entra Suite, I should say, and let's look at, first of all, how much does it cost, what's included, and so on, and then we'll take a walk through and look at the various demos. Okay, you enjoy. So to get started with Entra Suite, what you want to do is go into Microsoft 365, or you can also do this from Entra ID, go into Purchase Services, and if you do a search on Entra, then all the associated products will come up. And as you can see, just down here on the right-hand side, there it is, Microsoft Entra Suite. You can also take it out as a trial subscription. Beyond that, of course, you can pay for each of these products separately. So what is included, as you can see, it gives you details of all the different offerings, which I'll just go through in a second. Once you've made that decision, of course, you just go ahead and you subscribe. So really easy to get started. So firstly, I suppose we should talk about exactly what's included in Entra Suite. As you can see, the key selling point is Microsoft's SSE, Secure Service Edge offering, which they call Global Secure Access. Currently in two flavors, Entra Internet Access and also Entra Private Access as well. And of course, you see the Internet Access also sits in with the likes of Microsoft 365 as well. On top of that, it provides things like universal conditional access, which of course you get with a P1 license. You've got tenant restrictions. One of the big selling things that GSA provides is the compliant network checks and also all the networking security that goes with that. Now, we'll look at that in a moment or two. In addition, you've also got things like remote networks. You can set up traffic forwarding rules, profiles, and so on. On top of that, you've also got the premium Entra ID verified ID features, which now also includes the facial recognition, which rocks. You've also got identity protection, and you've also got identity governance, of course, which also provides things like access reviews, entitlement management, and privileged identity management, but to name a few. So this is really what's included. So the Entra Suite, you get the core license, which includes all the features that I just mentioned. In addition, we also get the frontline worker version of the Microsoft Entra Suite. I have to be honest though, there doesn't seem to be any difference between the different service plans. So whether one is cheaper than the other, that's something you'll have to check out. You've also got the step up option. So if you've already got a P2 license, then there is a step up plan. So it's obviously not as expensive. What's included? Well, as I've mentioned, you get the Entra ID governance, and this includes access reviews. You get privileged identity management. You get the capability to do access packages, for example, which rocks. You've also got the two different offerings of GSA, Global Secure Access. So you get the Entra Private Access, and also you get the Entra Internet Access features as well. And again, although these are currently still in public preview, and if you've not signed up to those, I'll talk about those in a minute, definitely check this out. This rocks, by the way. Verified ID has been around for some time, but we now have a new premium feature which includes facial recognition. And in addition, you also get the Entra ID identity protection features as well, which comes on top of the P2. You also get the premium version of that as well. So just, you might argue, what's the difference between the Entra Suite and, let's say, for example, an E5 subscription? Well, both get just the P2 license. So if you just have an E5 license, then you get the P2 license. On its own, the Entra ID P2 licenses, I'm just using UK prices here, but you'll be equivalent, of course, is £7.40 a month compared to the Entra Suite, which is £11.88 a month. That just means that for an additional $4.48 a month, you get all of those other features. So you get identity governance, you get the premium verified ID, you get the private access and the Entra Internet Access features as well. And if you look at the prices, to be honest, it's a no-brainer. But that's if you need these features. So let's take a look at the Entra ID Suite, and let's look at all the different features and what they do. So I'm starting off my demo here on the Microsoft Entra admin page. And if you click on View All Products, it will walk you through all the different tools. And you can see here that we have all of these tools now in place. Just to say that the documentation is here as well. This will take you through to the documents on learn.microsoft.com. So if you're not familiar with all of these, that's a great place to start. So when we talk about the core product, well, what we're really talking about, of course, is the ability to manage and administer all of our users. And as part of your core products, you also get things like external access, so you can create guest and guest access and so on. We also have some really clever stuff with groups. So you get a nice kind of overview of all of your groups. You can set expiry dates for groups, for example, which absolutely is awesome, by the way. Now, in addition, as well as your core product, if you've got a P1 license, if I go down to the protection tab here, you get conditional access, and conditional access is such an important component in Entra ID because you can create what we call policies. So in the days of the 1990s and the noughties, it was easy just to log in with a username and password. Now, however, what this conditional access does is it's part of Microsoft's zero trust technologies. And so in other words, you've got to verify every user, every application, every device on your network. And you can create conditional access policies which will help you do that. So for example, I'm going to create a new policy. We'll call this my office policy. And I'm going to say users and groups. I'm not going to choose all users. Be very careful of this. It really can get you into hot water if you make a mistake. I'd strongly recommend all policies, any kind of rules like this. Always try it with a single user And then once you've got it in place, then add in the other users and groups. So in this case, I'm going to add some users here. So I've got a group of users. I've created a group called Oslo. So I'm going to add in the Oslo HQ. And this is all about signals. Now, it says target resources. I'm going to target all cloud applications. And you can also go through them individually as well. So that I then say the network option, this is new. Now you can see that this is currently grayed out. It's because I've not enabled global secure access, which I'll come back to. And once you've activated that, this will then wake up. In terms of the conditions, one of the really nice features that we have is something called identity protection. And so if you've created an identity protection, you can say, hey, if we've got high and medium risk users who have maybe a high and medium risk when they're signing in, you can put an additional layer of security on for these users. We also have a new insider risk policy. So if you're using, for example, Microsoft Purview's insider risk policies, then you can, obviously, if a insider is flagging up as elevated, you can take further action with that. Which device platform is this for? So again, I can specify any device or just individual devices here if I want to. And you can even specify locations. So I pre-created a few locations in the policies, and I can say these are safe locations. So you can specify any network location. You can also say, if I'm in the London office, I don't want multi-factor authentication, and this is a trusted network. Okay. Likewise, you can see that we also have a new compliant network policy. Again, this is part of global secure access. So client apps, again, I can say I only want browser and mobile apps for this. And I can then say, do I want to filter for any particular devices? And we also have a new authentication flow mechanism here. So that means that if I sign on one machine, I can then continue on to a second machine. So for example, if you signed on with your mobile device, it will then authenticate you on your PC or your Mac, which is really cool. And you can also transfer your authentication across as well. Really nice, and that's currently in public preview. So based on those conditions, I'm going to say, I'm going to require multi-factor authentication, except in a trusted location. And you could add these other features here. And for more details on a full conditional access example, check out a previous video, and I'll put the links below. Okay. So now that I've created that, you can see it's creating it in reporting only mode. This reporting only mode will be active for 90 days, and then it will be enforced after that. So conditional access is a core component of the P1 license, and you get that free included with P1, which of course, if you've got small business and small business premium, you get that included with that as well. Okay, so what else do we have here? Well, as well as protection, of course, you've got identity protection that I just mentioned, and identity protection uses really kind of two main policies, a user risk policy and also a sign-in risk policy. So how risky are those users? It looks for things like impossible travel, unusual behavior. So you're in the office on a Friday evening doing mass downloads, things like that, out of the ordinary. And what you can do is it's got some great reporting features, and you can have a look at any kind of risky sign-ins reports. It will detect any kind of risky detections as well, which is great. And the key thing about this is you can then, confirm that a user has indeed actually been compromised. So this is a kind of identity protection. It works really well when combined with conditional access. That is a P2 license feature. Okay. Now, what else do we have? So going on from that, of course, what is the add-on that we can have? So the add-on is the identity governance add-on, and you can try this as a trial. And this creates what you've got things like Lifecycle workflows here, which is awesome. So if you're using things like HR connectors within your organization, you're using human resources, what this does is it integrates with those applications. Because, of course, Entra ID completely integrates with third-party applications. And essentially, you can come up here and you can create one of these pre-created workflows for things like onboarding employees and also offboarding them as well. And there's an increasing number of templates here. So, for example, if I was, let's say, we've got a leaver here, and the user's leaving the organization, you can create this template. And this, you can see, it will tell you the details. So when the user leaves, it will delete the user account, remove the user from all the groups and teams, and it will delete the user account, which places that user account into a recycle bin for 30 days. So these templates absolutely rock, especially in conjunction with third-party identity features. On their own, not so much. But if you've got third-party tools, then yes, this is definitely something you would take a look at. All right. So what else do we have? So if I come back to come back to Contoso. So as I said, identity governance. The other thing that we also get is entitlement packages or entitlement management. And this is where I can create access packages. So first up, I create a catalog. So you can see I've created a catalog of resources. And those resources essentially contain applications. So if I come down here into resources here, what you're doing is you're essentially adding in a resource. And this can be, I can add a resource. You can bring in groups and teams. You can bring in applications, SharePoint sites. And now, currently in public preview, we have the Entra admin roles that you can also bring in for this, which absolutely rocks. So once you've created, and it's really simple, once you've created this catalog, from that catalog, I can then create a project. So in this case, I'm creating an access package. And if I click onto edit here, I can then go in, I can say, hey, what resources, what do I want to bring in? So I can then say, hey, I want to add a resource or a resource role or a role group. And you can select from your list of resources from your catalog. Once you've got that, once you've created that, you can see I've got my Oslo Waffle project. It will then generate a link and I essentially share that. And the cool thing about this is you can set it, you just want to give them just-in-time access. So it's for a corporate project. They can have access for an hour, for a day, for a week. Very cool feature, really powerful feature. And that, as I said, is an access package, and that comes under entitlement management. Another cool feature is access reviews. So an access review, of course, can be assigned to a group. So, in the old days when you used to assign users to groups, and then suddenly 2 years goes by and you suddenly realize, oh my goodness, there's still a member of that group. So what an access review does is you can come in, you can say, hey, I want to do an access review, let's say every 3 months or something like that. So I can come into the settings here and I can say, first of all, who's the reviewer? Does it require a reason? How often do you want to schedule it? So, every, I want to put this, 3 occasions, or I want to have it running for a year and do a review every 3 months. So really super powerful. You can schedule the review, you get the review history, and you also get the remediation at the end of it as well. So at the end of it, you can say, do we still want to give them access? Do we not want to give them access? And so on. So as I said, that's an access review. PIM, or Privileged Identity Management, you can find that. I've actually got it integrated here. So if I come down into my, just click on Show More, and you can see here I've got roles and admins. And you can come into roles and admins again. These are all P2 features. So if I come into, let's say, a Teams administrator. So in the Teams administrator, I can assign somebody permanently, but I can also assign somebody temporarily as well. So for example, if I just say, I'm going to bring in a member, and let's say I'm going to bring in Adele. And I want Adele to be my Teams administrator. And I want her to be active. So that's the first thing. And you need to put in a reason. So I'm just going to say it's for her job. And you can see that she's now assigned. Okay. Now, in addition, you can also say, hey, well, if Adele has got an assistant, it's a little bit like I want to give Adele the rights to do the job, but only if she needs it. So I've got Alex. Alex is Adele's assistant. So when Adele goes on vacation, I want Alex to take over. And you can see that I've set the default settings here for, let's say, 15 days. So I want Alex to be eligible. So that's just like you handing your car keys to your neighbor and saying, would you mind looking after my car for me? They may not even open your car door, but the fact is, because they have the keys, they have the right to do it. You can now see that Alex is now an administrator here, but it would only be activated when he needs access. So when Adele's away, he activates it, and you can see it's only active between these time periods. So I gotta tell you, privileged identity management absolutely rocks, and it's so important. Okay. So one of my favorite features of the Entra Suite is Verified ID, and Microsoft are just releasing Verified ID Premium. And this is essentially a decentralized identity system, decentralized in the fact that it's controlled by you and me. So once you get assigned a digital ID, which has been verified by a trusted provider, you can then use that digital ID in many different scenarios, from work to skilling, school, telecommunications, travel, retail, in fact, anywhere. So essentially, the user verifies their identity, currently available on LinkedIn, by the way. And essentially, when the user goes to purchase something or prove their identity, they're essentially presenting their digital ID. And because their ID has already been verified, of course, they don't need any additional documentation or passports or anything like that. So essentially, it's the user who then says, yes, I'm happy to share my identity with the company. And you can see it maintains a complete history of everything. So the user gets this kind of digital receipt. Now, that's been available for a little bit of time, but what is new is the fact that you can now, it does facial recognition. So when you go and make a purchase or do a transaction, it can now also do a facial recognition. And this is great, for example, if you're accessing something and it requires your permission, you can use your facial recognition, and also you can either allow or reject the request to access your data. So in all, you're really safe with verified ID. So up next, I want to talk about this one. This is Microsoft's SSE, or Secure Service Edge. Much has been written and documented about this, and I gotta say, rightly so. It is absolutely awesome. This is global secure access, and this essentially is comprised of really a couple of different products. And currently in public preview, you can do secure access within your tenant, and this then gives you the option. So you can either do private internet access, or you can do private access. So private access, for example, if you had let's say a server on premises with some really important internal applications, and you want to make that available. So in the past, you would have used third-party VPNs and technologies like that. And the problem with that is because they're on separate networks, it's very difficult to secure them and also integrate those with the likes of conditional access and network security policies and so on. So rather than using separate VPNs, this is kind of Microsoft's magic VPN solution, which combines all the security features to give you, it really kind of closes that loop on zero trust. And it's the final piece that's missing, really. Now, as I say, global secure access is currently in public preview. I would definitely try it out. Try it out for a few users. You can try both versions, so the private internet access as well as the private access internally for your own company as well. So really, really useful and a very, very powerful set of tools. So there you have it, Microsoft Entra Suite. It's actually pretty good value when you look at it, and it's got some awesome features. Now, whether those features are for everyone, hey, well, you know your business. It's not for me to say. Okay. Hey, listen, if you enjoyed it, bump the like button, give me a big thumbs up. It does make a difference. And if you've got comments and questions, as always, get those down below. And if you want to support me further, then why not sign up to my Patreon site, details here, and you'll get access to full courses and so much more. All right, that's it for this time. You stay safe. I'll see you soon. Hey, thanks so much for dropping by today. Here's a couple of videos that you may enjoy, and while you're here, go ahead, click on the subscribe button and you won't miss out.